Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. Lots to talk about today. Just another crazy 24 hours with a ton of action on DeGods. As the price keeps going lower and lower, a lot of loans out, Machi Big Brother getting a huge position. We'll talk about that. Also, on the other side of the spectrum, in more of the art space, we have Sam Spratt just continuing to drip information, teach us more about what's coming with Monument Game. We'll dive into that as well. Starting off with a quick market overview. Volumes were up a fair bit. Again, though, this was largely DeGod, something like 5,000 ETH of volume on DeGods. And when it's because the price is going from 7 to 4.8 ETH, I'm not sure that's always a good thing. Most of the volume with Blur, 75% market share on Blur. In terms of unique buyers, and I wanted to look at this chart kind of going back about 6 or 7 months. You can see where we are relative to where we've been in the past, kind of trending a little bit lower day by day, even now. In terms of the large cap index, basically flat, had a lot of weakness in DeGods, but DeGods is just about an 8% weight in the index, had some strength in Milady, which offset that a little bit. Mid cap index also basically flat. Botto Gremlins continues to be on fire. And what's on fire? It's 3 projects. It's Milady, it's Remilio, and it's Botto Gremlins. And that trend continued today. I think there's actually a pretty similar buyer base between those 3 projects, and that continued. Renga down 16% on the weaker side. Let's just have a look at this DeGods chart. I mean, really, prices down into the 4s. First time that we've been there since 2022. Of course, this chart goes back to when they were on Solana, converting it back then. A couple of things that are happening now. We're low, but a couple of the headwinds. This is Machi Big Brother's wallet. These are the 4 projects he owns the most of. Bored Ape Yacht Club, DeGods, QQL Mint Pass, and Mutant Ape Yacht Club. Between these 4 projects, Machi has long more than $10 million of NFTs. Okay. And, the QQL Mint Passes, he hasn't been selling. A lot of the Bored Ape Yacht Club he's owned for a long time, but the DeGods have largely been farmed. Most, I'd say more than half of the Bored Ape Yacht Club have probably been farmed. Mutant Ape Yacht Club, probably a lot farmed there. So never a good thing, because we do know that Machi has this tendency to sell big positions that he farms. The other piece is loans. Loans have actually gone up over the past few days on DeGods. More people have taken loans on DeGods. As a result, there aren't a whole lot of loan offers out there, but that's just another headwind. I think these are well telegraphed. I think the market's aware of these headwinds, but certainly a lot of loans that are underwater on DeGods right now. The weakness has also extended to Bitcoin DeGods, but also to Utes. Utes, and I'm a Ute holder. I own one of them. I got that shoey. Love that shoey. But the floor was up at 2 ETH after the initial announcement, went up to 2 ETH when they announced that they're moving to ETH. It's now down to about 1 ETH. So seeing a whole lot of weakness across the entire ecosystem. And it kind of gets me to one of the things I wanted to talk about. With DeGods now down about 50% from when they started on ETH, pretty much every single project across the ecosystem, with 2 exceptions, is down about 50% or more over the past 6 months. What this chart here looks at is the floor-based market cap, and it's down $1.5 million just in 6 months. And 6 months ago was not the peak. 6 months ago, we were already down. So that's about $2.2 billion in wealth that has been lost, or paper wealth, or whatever you want to call it, but people's perception of how much liquid asset or how much asset they had in NFTs. So I think it is important to remember, just when you're looking on Twitter, just how much money people have lost. It's kind of a mind-boggling number. Now, if you look at all the different projects, with DeGods now down about 50%, since mid-February, when season 2 for Blur started, or basically just going back 6 months, pretty much every single project is now down 50% or more. The one exception on this chart here is Punks, which is down 30%. Obviously, you can do well in this environment, and don't let anyone tell you you can't, or that it's 100% impossible, because clearly Milady has been the offset. Milady is up 3x over this period. So while I'd say 95 to 98% of projects are down pretty bad, you do have a couple that have offset that, Milady being one of them. And clearly when things are going right, that project's going to go up regardless of the dynamic. Couple things to talk about in terms of art projects. A few sales of Chromie Squiggles. Actually, this morning, Seed Phrase went in and swept 5 more. A sweep of 5 these days is actually kind of a big deal. Had a ringer sale. Let's have a quick look at what these sales look like. A ringers, this one was for 39 ETH. Right around the floor. We had a Slinky Squiggle, which sold for 14 ETH, a Meridian for 8 ETH, and then Basic, Death of Computer Science. This piece sold for 4.2 ETH. With Death of Computer Science, the royalties go into the bids. Right now, there's a bid on that project in the forest. I'm not sure if that's royalty-based or an outside bidder, but kind of interesting to see that. Second thing to talk about, let's talk about Sam Spratt's Monument game. I think in a world where everything feels down only, other than Milady's up only, but other than Milady, everything feels down only. Sam Spratt has just kind of gone from good to better to best. I mean, he's really just been crushing it on his side. Here's an announcement from him. He said, Chapter 5, the Monument game, there's one of one, an edition of 256, a game of art and observation. And for those the few who play to win, a reward, August 21st to 24th. So that's in 6 days. And then he dropped this video. This video is long. It's 2 minutes. I recorded everything that it said. So we're going to put the deck below. If you want to see what it said, you can read it here. I spent the time typing it. You might as well see it. Wake up, Lucy. The spotlight shifts to others. Climb and observe. Name each creation. Dominion demands it, or each is the other, and nothing grows wiser. Walled garden shadows cast the fangs of caves. I'm going to stop there. Lots of poetry, lots of interesting kind of ideas being brought to light there. And then he tweeted a few more times. This is on the left. I believe that this is the edition of 256 that is going to be minted. But there was a lot of it that was dropped in code, and there was an account called coffeeplease.eth that figured out the code and basically told us everything that's happening. So let's go over it. The game opens on the 21st. Winners will be announced on the 31st. Just kind of summarizing everything that is here. It all kind of focuses on something called observations. The people who have the Monument Game Pass, NFT, something, have to put in observations, which are going to be put on the blockchain. I believe the top 3 entries for observations, and I'm not totally sure what observations are, but everyone who's playing the game is going to have to put in an observation. And the top 3 entries are going to be selected by the council. You know, there are 50 holders of the skulls. I believe all 50 are part of the council. If I'm wrong, I'm sure Sam will DM me and tell me where I'm wrong. And I will correct myself. I promise I will do that. But the 3 entries are going to get the chance to trade their edition for a Skull of Lucy. We know there's demand for Skulls of Lucy in that 65, 70, 75 ETH range. So that is a very valuable prize. With the 256, one of them has already been sold. The others are going to be 3.33 ETH per ticket. Each ticket gets you an observation. The tickets with the corresponding observations are going to be minted as players. So I believe that whatever your observation is going to go into your NFT and be part of that NFT. After you make your observation, the NFTs can be traded. So at that point, they can be traded on secondary, even while the council is judging who's going to win. And the council is going to judge which NFTs win. So if you pick an observation that ultimately wins the game, it's the person you sell it to that is going to get that Skull of Lucy. So I'm not sure I fully get everything going on. There's a lot here. But yeah, that's kind of my best take at it. Very excited to see this all play out next week. Third thing to talk about, DeGods launches Points Parlor, and I think that this is one of the big things that we were all waiting for as part of the season 3 announcement. Here is an image that they put with their announcement. And the basic idea behind this is if you stake your DeGod and if you downgrade your DeGod, so move it to the new art, you can earn points. And when you can exchange those points for card packs. And card packs are basically kind of a luck of the draw type of thing, where if you're lucky, you get entered for these super valuable prizes, but the vast majority get a few dust. A few dust is worth a few dollars. But again, you can also get huge prizes. Kraken is a major sponsor. Kraken is clearly getting into NFTs, but we believe that Kraken was probably behind at least a big piece of the Tesla, which is currently one of the big prizes you can win, a Tesla MacBook Pro. Those are all possibilities. If you don't get, if you get lucky, don't get that dust, but get kind of one of these outsized opportunities, maybe you'll get the Tesla or the MacBook Pro. Here's a tweet from them. Everything we do at D-Labs is about giving back to our community. And I do think that amidst all the FUD and all the negativity and just all the terrible technicals that have happened to DeGods, they made no money off season 3. Everything that you paid in dust goes right back into the community for the dust prizes. So, I think that is one thing that we should say is that despite all the negativity, I think that they have held to this idea of giving back to their community. My basic take is why is the price taking so bad when this is happening? First of all, it's just very, very difficult to offset, all the NFTs that have been dumped into bids. It's now almost up to the level that we were at with Azuki after the Azuki FUD. DeGods just had so many more NFTs dumped into bids yesterday than had happened before then. The other thing I think is that when NFTs shift from being clubs, kind of status symbols, collectibles, into more the utility sphere, it becomes a little bit harder for them to do well. I think they're a nice to have. But what really matters is that people feel cool being part of this, want to be part of it, and are collecting. Even if you look at these Teslas, a 3 Series, which I would love to have myself. But even Teslas, the starting price points around $40,000 to $50,000, which is basically just the price of 6 or 7 DeGods, which is just 6 or 7 out of 10,000. So I think when you start getting into when you start transitioning things into like, this is the utility, this is what we're getting back, it becomes a little bit harder than when people are owning them for the collectability aspect. Lastly, let's talk about a few notable sales, and not a whole lot to talk about here, but you did have a ton of Grail DeGods that sold. I did want one of the kind of bigger sales that happened was this Medusa, which sold for 55 ETH. Still a very nice price given the weakness we have seen. Clearly lower than other top sales we've seen in Medusas, but no surprise given the floor price is down 50% in 3 days. The last 4 that we've seen have been at 90, 88, 99. And around that range. So I believe that this one was bought by Pimp Capital. I'm not totally sure, but I believe the one today was bought by Pimp Capital. And then lastly, in the super rare kind of one-of-one space, this piece, Murder by Music, very cool piece by Botto Project, sold for 4.48 ETH. The buyer was Spartan Black. And if we look at the previous Botto sales, 3.69, 8.5, 4.2, 4.3. So they've been kind of all over the map, but this is right up the alley of where they've been selling. That is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Give us a like. Tell us what you think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the Telegram group. Best way to get notifications when we launch a new show. All those links are below in the description. We'll be back tomorrow and just about every weekday with another show. Have a great day.